There we
Hey,
go.
we're live. Hey everyone, this is Oppost. I'm filling in for DJ today. Before we get started, we're here with Jen and Jen. So before we start, I'm once again going to sit here awkwardly and say sorry that we don't actually have a guest and we're supposed to. But I know I said last week we were going to have. I know I said Sunday we were going to have a guest. We were supposed to in another giveaway, but life happened. So through no fault of their own, we had some issues with that, and they weren't able to make it. But that happens. Life happens sometimes. I know none of us were expecting it, and said person was not either. So. No worries, but we're going to hang on to said guest and contest because hopefully we'll be able to make it happen at some point for the rest of the season or, postseason to wrap up and stuff like that. So, we'll see, but, we apologize for that, but, sometimes things happen. I get it. Life happens. But we're here anyway, the three of us, to talk about not only the last group stage match, U.S. Versus Colombia, but we're also here to talk about just kind of do some wrap up of the group stages as a whole. Look forward to knockouts, and that's what we're gonna do. Before we do that, let's check in with our people. Jen Hayes, what you been up to lately?
Oh, it has been an extremely aggravating last few days, but that's what happens when you have home repairs going on. So I've been dealing with that for a while. So that's been really fun.
Sounds great. Jen Carl, what have you been up to?
Work again. It's
Oh,
like
your go-to answer.
it's my go-to in life apparently. Um, but yeah, it's like 95 degrees here, and it's really disgusting. Like Buffalo should never, ever, ever be 95 degrees, but it is, so it's gross.
Yeah, it was like 70. It was like 75 here this morning, but it was just so humid that it was just like we walked outside and we were like, can't breathe, horrible. But yeah, that's cool. That's what our panels have been up to. I've just been doing all the work lately. I'm getting ready to go camping in the woods for tomorrow and part of Friday. Yay! They hike us up to the Adirondacks, and we get on a boat and we go to this little peninsula and we just hang out and do training stuff. So that'll be fun. But anyways, words are hard. Um, thank you. On to the game review. We'll start with Jen Hayes first. What were your expectations going into the match?
Well, I certainly didn't expect what we got. I don't think anyone did. I thought it was going to not be a blowout because I think with where the game was, and the fact that we only needed a draw to win the group and secure a theoretically better position in the knockout round, I didn't think the team was going to go balls to the wall trying to get a massive win like they normally would if it was the first or second group stage match. So I expected a victory, maybe 1 or 2-0, but as you can tell, we didn't get that. So thought it would have been a comfortable win, but again, like I said, not what we got.
I forgot to mention for anyone watching, you can follow along with us at hashtag WosoTalk. I'll be trying to check that as much as I can throughout the broadcast. And also, if you are watching on YouTube, as you would, I don't know why you would be watching on YouTube, but feel free to also leave a comment on the video. I'll be trying to check that as much as I can, too. So let us know what you think kind of about what we're saying and what we're talking about. And that's great. Moving on, Jen Carl, what were your thoughts on? We saw a lot of lineup changes for the U.S. What were your thoughts on some of those?
I expected to see some of them. I expected to see the players who have been putting in massive minutes to put this one out, which a lot of them did. I think JJ's still nursing some problems there, so the anticipated return of Yang into the back. I wasn't sure what we were going to get up front, and To be honest, I didn't really. I don't know why, but I didn't like the combination as much with Dun and Press, and I don't know if it's because they just haven't played as much together. So maybe I was missing the chemistry aspect. But that being said, I thought the rest of it was
Ooh.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on there. Are we all okay?
That's weird. All right. Apparently, I'm taking something off again with that strange noise. Um, oh, it's Jen Hayes apparently. Okay. Yeah. So lineup. I did like I've been calling forever for the KO Krieger pair in the back, and we finally got to see that, and I actually thought that worked pretty well. Um, I was definitely missing some of our players in the midfield, uh, for sure. I didn't think our midfield was great at all, but we'll probably have an opportunity to touch on that later, so I will then.
Mm. All right, great. Um, yeah, I was surprised pleasantly to see the changes that we saw. I know that we were hoping to have the Krieger O'Hara combination, but I didn't know that that would actually happen because I was like, oh, Ellis won't do that. But she did, and like I said, I think that was actually pretty good. A big issue, I feel like this may have, and I'm sure we'll touch more upon this, but I feel like this probably would have been the only shot you're probably going to have to like use a different goalkeeper this tournament. I do not know what that noise is, and I apologize for people that are hearing the staticky shenanigans. Um, we'll just make sure we unmute Jen Hayes when it's time to talk. But yeah, I think that probably would have been an okay game to give Hope a rest, and I think some people's argument against that is, but don't do that. You're gonna, no one's as good as Hope, but then stuff happened. Some things happened, which I'm sure we'll talk about. So, it might have been a good game to give Hope a little bit of a rest to, but they didn't, and so we noted. But one thing I will say, it was nice to see Megan Rapinoe, and a lot of people were like, why would you start her if you're going to sub her out in a half hour? But I saw the point made a lot on social media that it's better to start her and then sub her, because if you sub her and she can't go, then you have to sub a sub, and that sucks. So that was actually pretty smart by Ellis, and I'm glad she got a pretty solid half hour or so in. But anyways, Jen Hayes, what are some of your thoughts on the first half of the game?
Well, thought number one is, did the spirit of Bill Buckner come in and take over Hope Solo on that free kick? Because what on earth? I don't know if she really couldn't see or if she just misread the ball or whatever, but honestly, I've seen Hope make some pretty bad mistakes before. I mean, I could point to some goals, like one all the way back in 2007 where she let a ball slip right off her gloves and into the goal. That was a pretty bad mistake, but nothing like we saw that. I mean, it was just a simple scoop and fall on the ball like we see most keepers do with regular, no problems. Up, slipped right through her hands, and we gave up our first ever goal to Colombia. So, yeah, that was like I said, a Buckner-esque moment that I'm sure she won't be forgetting anytime soon. So that was kind of painful. I mean, this kind of goes for both halves, but I thought we were kind of disjointed, and that makes sense. We did make a lot of subs, don't have the chemistry of having the same lineup that we would have had if we had kept the same lineup. So that one was pretty bad. Didn't really see a whole lot from Colombia. It's like I said, over the course they had 2 shots on goal, and both of them were goals. So they had a couple of nice moments, but they didn't really generate much of anything. Defensively, we were pretty solid. Other than us being lucky not to be down to 10 with that stupid tackle that Rapinoe gave up. How that was not a red card, I still do not know, but it wasn't even a card, which was the more shocking part. But so yeah, I think that can be chalked up to rust. It was her first game since October of last year. She's clearly not fit for 90 minutes. So you come to expect these things. And she was hit or miss, I think, on the service. There were some good moments. There were some bad moments. Again, it's what you come to expect from a player who has been on the sidelines for how long has it been? Almost 10 months. So
Since October, yeah.
yeah, it was almost 10 months. Very long time. You fought, and it does take a while after you come back from injury, a few games to get that back. So, I still have my issues with her being on the roster. I think she did some good things, some not so good things. I really like them. I really like that setup for the Dunn goal. Kristen Press with a nice flick on. I thought Carly should have maybe done a little better to score on that, but good for Dunn for following it up, which you don't always see, even from the best teams. You see them take a shot and then no one else making that follow-up run. So it was a smart move by Dunn to make that and try to pick up some scraps. So yeah, you can say overall it was disjointed, but that was pretty much the first half. Wasn't really as fluid as I would have liked to have seen.
This is going to be an unpopular opinion, I'm sure. But the last couple games, and I know like this isn't me saying she's not a great player. Everyone has their kind of off days, but the last two games I haven't been like super impressed with Carly. I think like she was better this game than I think she was against France, like at least in the first half. But and she did make a good play to kind of get the ball in the crossbar. I know she was trying to go for goal, obviously, but I don't know. She just seemed kind of quiet. It wasn't really necessarily, and that could be also because there was a lot of different. The midfield as a whole was kind of sorely lacking throughout the game. So. So sort of lacking throughout the game, so I think that might have also helped contribute to it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like people have good games, bad games. Obviously, Hope So will tell you that. But I think overall, aside from Rapinoe giving off that sketchy tackle, I think that like you pretty much had a player this game, or else it was kind of like I don't think anyone's first game back in 10 months to be a knockout game in the Olympics. But so I'm glad that Sheila's got some minutes in. It'll be interesting to see how she's used moving forward. But I was mighty impressed with Pugh when she came in for Rapinoe. She really stepped up and kind of lit a fire, so that was really nice to see also. Jen Carr, what did you think of the second half?
I thought we played maybe a little bit better in the second half. We were still really disjointed. Lindsay Horan, I don't know why I'm not on the Lindsay Horan train, but I'm not on the Lindsay Horan train.
I'm not. I have never been, so.
She did not impress me at all in this game. And, I'm certainly not one to jump on the Allie Long train either, because we won't go there. We'll save that for an episode with DJ. But as much as I'm not on the Allie Long train, I almost wish we would have had the combination of Allie Long and Morgan Bryan in there. Just because Allie Long at least maybe had less turnovers than Lindsay Horan did. And it pains me to say that, but Lindsay Horan she had really terrible ball control, I think, in this game. And I don't know what to attribute that to. I don't know where that stems from, but I really hope she can figure that out moving forward. And that being said, I thought the rest of the team maybe joined together a little bit better. We did see Allie Long eventually come in, but it was for Morgan Bryan. So
right.
We didn't see that Long Bryan combination. Instead, we saw Long Horan combination, which didn't really work any better. And then Alex Morgan coming on. When did Morgan come on? She was in the first half. So I lied. I'm getting my halves confused. But either way, I feel like the subs we made didn't make enough of a difference, and I think that we saw that through with the draw. I mean, the fact that Colombia was able to come back and granted, it was a very good free kick. Yeah, that we were definitely missing like the head of JJ in there, which we couldn't do anything about that because she's nursing an injury. We were definitely missing, and I know I hate on Kling all the time because that's what I do, but Kling at least has this ability to. She's going to get eaten up on the flank every time, but she still has the ability to be in the right place at the right time, I think a lot of the time when it's like set pieces or things of that nature, and I think we were missing a little bit of that as well. And I don't know if I attribute that specifically to Megan Klingenberg or the absence of Kling and JJ. I think if we would have even had one of them in there, maybe that would have been kind of minimized a little bit. Sorry, I'm still recovering from this cold.
You're fine.
But yeah, I mean the second half for me wasn't a whole lot better than the first half, and that was disappointing. I mean, we outshot Colombia, but the fact that we outshot them like double, like we had 13 shots, they had 6 or something like that, and we couldn't finish on any of that. You know, that speaks a lot, and I'm used to seeing that with my Washington Spirit, them not being able to convert their set pieces or defend set pieces or whatever have you, and I hate seeing that come to the national team. Thank you, Jen. Hey, 16-3 in shots, so over double. That's not great. And I'm hoping a lot of that was just sorry, was just them taking their foot off the gas a little bit for this last group stage game. So we'll see moving forward.
All right, thank you. Put it not back on me. Before we move on, I just wanted to. We don't often. A lot of times we forget to read the. A lot of times we forget to read like the comments and stuff that people put in. Like send us comments and we don't read them. So I just want to real quick before we move on say thank you to Guitar Skate Live on YouTube for your comment. You know, we're talking about potentially resting Solo, and they said I think Nair should have been in goal for the Columbia game to get some confidence just in case something happens Solo in the future. Like I said, we talked about that. I think a lot of people agree with that potentially, and we thank you for your comment. So moving on, I think they're both. We got people. Everyone's muted now. We're gonna go on to Jen Hayes and talk a little bit about the group stage in general. Were there any teams that stood out to you, or what were your overall impressions during the general group stage? It doesn't have to be just the U.S. group, just overall from the start of the tournament.
Well, a big one for me was how strong defensively South Africa was. You know, I know Brazil didn't have their A team, but the fact that they shut out Brazil in Brazil is a huge accomplishment. I mean, we talk about the fact that the U.S. only beat them 1-0 is pretty big, but shutting out Brazil, it took a bad keeper error for Sweden to score on them, and a couple of really strong goals for China to score on them. Wish they would have gotten a goal, but they looked very good defensively, very strong, organized, compact, what you might come to expect from a quote-unquote lesser team. But they had some really good players. We talked about the captain, Janine Van Beek, who I think who we all joke gets her hairstyling from Jackie. But yeah, that's credit to you, Carl. On the bad side, Sweden. Oof. I don't know what's happened to this team since they finished, third at the World Cup in 2011. But, whatever Pia has done to them, it just made them worse. I think I think she does best with a team that relies on individual talent. And Sweden historically has done really well when they're more of a team effort instead of relying on one particular player. I mean, they do have some good players like Shaylin, Seger, Neela Fisher. Hedvig Lindahl's gotten better over the last few years. But, yeah, I would not be surprised if she left after the Olympics, regardless of how they finished, because she has made that team 1,000 times worse. It's just so sad to watch. I mean, I didn't get to see it live, but watching Brazil just run them off the pitch was really sad. I mean, Brazil didn't even look like they were out of second gear. You know, they pretty much had their way all night, and they did get Sweden did get a consolation goal, but I mean that's what it was, a consolation goal. They looked awful. Probably the biggest surprise for everybody was Canada sweeping the group. I mean, most of us, pretty much everyone thought, oh, Germany's going to take that group. Canada and Australia are fighting for second, but wow. You know, it was really, I mean, I have mixed feelings on certain players in Canada, but good for them for getting their first ever win over Germany. You know, good for them for holding off for however many minutes they had to with 10 players against Australia. You know,
Like
looked a little
something.
Yeah, over 70 minutes. You know, they looked a little rough second half against Zimbabwe. Really bad goal for poor D'Angelo to give up, but it was her first game in several months, so yeah, those kind of things happen. And on another bad note, Germany. Yeah, I think some of those players will be really happy to see the end of Sylvia Knight, because I have said this before, not here before, but I think Sylvia Knight is very overrated. You can say, oh, she won a couple European titles, oh, she won a World Cup, blah, 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 blah. She won that World Cup with the remnants of a team that her predecessor built. A lot of the success that she got was because of the team that she inherited. You know, whatever style she's trying to play is not fitting the personnel she has. She has players that look slow. I mean, their back line has got to be one of the slowest I'd seen probably in this entire tournament. I mean, and that's even including Zimbabwe. You know, I think they even looked faster than Germany's back line. It's slow. This build-up play, whatever she's trying to do, and doesn't work for them. I don't know if going with no experience with Steffi Jones is going to be the answer, but they have to do something, because what they have shown in this tournament is just not good enough for a number 2 team in the world. So those are my ups and downs that I've found in the group stage.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that part of the, I don't know, part of, for me, I'm disappointed in Australia's performance in their first match against Canada. Like, I really think they just bombed completely and, like, dropped the ball there, and that makes me really sad. But I am super excited, and still kind of sad though that they let Germany equalize. But I was impressed with how they kind of carried on, you know, having a pretty terrible first game against Canada, and then came forward to, you know, hold their own against Germany. They definitely needed at least that point there. And then again, and not to write off Zimbabwe, but like they actually like definitely made sure they got the job done against Zimbabwe and were able to advance, and that it makes me kind of excited. Jen Carr, we're gonna go real quick. If you can, I pulled up something on Bing about the knockout rounds, but that I want to talk about. But just before we get to that, and you know, we'll get to the United States. Oh, before we do that, we'll talk about the United States game. Actually, first of all, tell us what your expectations are going into the U.S.'s first game against Sweden. Jen Hayes talked a lot about Sweden and kind of her thoughts on that, but what are your thoughts about both sides going into the knockout round?
Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed in Sweden in their group stage. They're not the same Sweden they're hyped up to be, kind of like what Jen Hayes said. That being said, we do have a history with them. We do have a story with Sweden. So I think Sweden will try to step up to the plate a little bit with that. I expect hopefully a better game than we had against Colombia. You know, if both teams are playing their prime, it should be a great game. But both teams haven't been playing their prime, and it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see that. I think we're going to see, you know, obviously the return of some of our starting players. I think we'll see Tobin Heath back in there for this game against Sweden. I think Ali Long will probably get the start again. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one. I'm going to say, I know Hope has said that she's going to have short-term memory about this and kind of put it behind her quickly, but I think it's still going to haunt her. And I don't think she's going to make the same mistakes again. So I'm going to say the U.S. is going to take it 2-0.
All right. Going over to Jen Hayes, just some brief thoughts on the first knockout match, and then what your score prediction is.
Yeah, so we accomplished pretty much everything we wanted to getting out of the group. We finished first. We don't have any really major injuries, a couple minor knocks, but nothing really major. And we were able to rest some players in the swamp that was Manaus. So those were all positive things. As far as what I'm expecting, again, like we saw at the Men's World Cup, players coming off of a Manaus game, teams that have come from a Manaus game have often looked really flat in the next one. They don't look like they're up. It looked like that game took a lot out of them, and those players had more rest time than the U.S. did. They had 4, maybe 5 days after that, and we've only got 2 in between these 2 games, so that's a concern. And Sweden has pretty much had our number recently. We haven't beaten them in a major tournament since I don't even remember. I think maybe the 2007 World Cup was the last time we got a win over them in a major tournament. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I know it's been a while. So they've had our number recently, especially with Pia having coached us so long and knowing a lot about a lot of the players we still have. So that's a concern. With that being said, like Carl said, I'm expecting Hope to not pull that same crap she pulled against Colombia and hopefully get her act together. I am going to side with her and also say 2-0, but I would not be surprised to see this game go to extra time.
All right, that's fair. I kind of agree with both of what you said. I think that Sweden. I don't know. See, my thing with Sweden is like I don't think that they're going to beat the U.S., but I can see how it would potentially be a little bit tricky, especially coming from Manaus and just having kind of some difficulties against Sweden. But my problem with Sweden is that people who generally perform well or have been performing well for clubs sometimes don't show up on a country level, and that's unfortunate. I think that's really hurting Sweden also. But I think it's going to be an interesting game. I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think it is. But and I say that both for U.S. and for the Sweden national team. I think people who, for the U.S., that perform well on club level sometimes don't always on country. And I think that for Sweden also, some people who perform well in their various leagues that they're playing in sometimes don't bring that over to national team play for some reason. It doesn't translate over, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I'm going to go with actually 2-1. I think for some reason they'll get one in there, which is probably an unpopular choice. I think a lot of people are going to be like, Hope's not going to let one in after all this, but we'll see. So kind of in closing, I wanted to do, so I found on Bing that I deleted. No, I didn't. So Bing has not only the group set up, but they have Bing predicts for the quarterfinal matches of who they think is going to win by what percentage. So I'm just going to read what they say, and then we're play like a little game of like agree and disagree, and then as we kind of go through the quarterfinals, we can kind of see how we did as far as so it gives a percentage. So if you think either they're wrong or if you agree, but if you think it's a different percentage, so like it says like Brazil versus Australia, they think that Brazil has a 58% chance of winning. So we'll start with there and see if people agree or disagree. with that, Jen Hayes, what are your thoughts on that?
Wait, you said 50%?
50, they say 50. Bing, again, it's just Bing. I don't know what the logistics are, but Bing predicts Brazil wins with a 58% chance.
Oh, 58% chance.
Yep, 58% chance of winning against Australia, which is still pretty even for Australia, honestly.
Yeah, that actually sounds about right. I mean, Brazil has been pretty much flying the last game notwithstanding. I think they were just saving some legs. Being at home is clearly unlike the underachieving men. Being at home has clearly given a lift to
It's
the
brutal.
women. Um, but like the U.S., they're coming from Manaus, so that is a concern. Australia did beat them in the World Cup last year, so Brazil might be wanting to go with some payback. Um, this is going to be a close one. I don't agree it's going to be 58, more like 51% Brazil. I think it's probably
Okay.
going to be a really close game.
Awesome. Jen, what are your thoughts? Just you can either say if you have commentary or not. You can just say agree, disagree if you want to. It's fine. However you want to play a little game. Viewers at home, if you're watching too and want to comment what you think, agree, disagree, let us know.
This one's tough.
It is tough, and I'm actually not surprised that they have it as close as they do, because I do think that it probably will be potentially close.
The only thing that's holding me back is the fact that Canada played with 10 players on the field for like 70 minutes, and Australia couldn't get to them. And that makes me nervous that they're not able to take advantage of opportunities as they're presented. Screw it. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say it's going to be 52-ish% Australia.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to pick Australia too. I don't have a percentage, but that's partly wishful thinking and partial. I think they could actually do it. So we'll see. I'm going to skip over the U.S. one because we already gave predictions for that. But I just want to let you know, like I said, well, we're just not going to comment on that because we're going to move along to the next ones. But Bing predicts the U.S. is going to win, but only with a 61% chance, which is interesting. But fair potentially, because we kind of just talked about it. It potentially is a fair thing. So moving on, we're gonna move on because, like I said, we already talked about that game. Got a couple more to get through before we wrap it up. All right, so China versus Germany. We'll go to Jen Hayes first. It says Bing predicts that China is going to win with a 61% chance. Not China. Did they say China? No,
Yes,
Germany
you
was
said China.
God. I meant, dear God, I meant Germany wins with a 61% chance, not China. I was like, wait a minute.
I was
gonna say Bing. I was gonna say Bing. What do you want? However, well, I'll let you go first, and then I'll share.
I was gonna say what kind of drugs were there algorithms?
I want to know what I want to know what the analytics behind the predictions are. I might have to look that up at some point and find out. But go ahead.
Seriously, I think that's actually a little low for Germany. I would say probably 60. I mean, I know they looked like crap in the group stages, but yeah, China, I don't think they've ever really had a good record against Germany since probably their heyday in the late 90s. So they're up and coming, but I'd say probably closer to 65% in favor of Germany.
All right, Jen, Miss German Fan USA. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost full German, so this is I have like beer and sauerkraut running through my veins.
She's not kidding. I mean, what?
Yeah, but I taste like sauerkraut. Apparently, I don't. Uh, I'm. This is probably just that talking. It's probably the fact that I'm like, Germany, get your lives together. Let's go. Um, but I'm actually gonna give them like a 72% win over China.
I would say probably I'm okay with. I would say maybe like 65% Germany. I don't know. I think that's 61's a little bit low, but I also don't want to go any higher than that because Germany hasn't been that great either. So moving on. This last one's real weird. I don't really understand. Again, I wish I knew the analytics about this because I don't really understand how this happens. But in the world of Bing, France and Canada, in the world of Bing, I guess people, if they ask people, maybe Bing predicts is like they asked people to vote and people just didn't vote. I don't really know. But Bing predicts France to win with a 45%. I don't know how you have a 45% chance to win and still win. I don't understand the math there, but apparently France has a 45% chance of winning, according to Bing predicts. I don't really get how that works, but anyways, we'll go to Jen and see if you can make any sense of it, because I don't understand how they're going to win. They have less than half chance of winning the game. I don't get it, but it's fine.
I think my
that emoji right now is just like, man, I don't. We can forget percentages. Who do you think is gonna? Do you think France is gonna win, or do you think they're right with France winning? I don't know. Forget the percentages. Maybe they had a technological glitch. I don't know. That's real weird though.
Let's see. France is a better team than Canada, but France has gets the yips in front of goal in big games. I'm going to go 51% France, even though Canada has looked pretty impressive, and France has also looked impressive, even though they lost to us. They just couldn't finish, and Hope Solo was Hope Solo of old. Yeah, I'm going to go 51% chance of France winning.
All right, Jen, what are your thoughts on France versus Canada?
I have advocated for France since the World Cup last year. Those of you who watched our World Cup shows, I actually called France to upset Germany in the World Cup last year, which didn't happen. They let me down, but that's okay. That being said, I'm calling a U.S.-Canada final. And in order for that to happen, Canada has to beat France. So I'm going 51% in favor of Canada.
Interesting. I'm just going to throw my hands up and say Bing Predicts came up with a dumb percentage. So I'm just going to make up my own rules too and say 50-50 crapshoot. I don't know. I could see either team winning, and that's kind of... It's true. I don't know. I mean, Canada's proven that they can hang tough when they have to, and France has proven they're awesome, but sometimes have moments where, like, if they're not dominating a game in, like, the first half, they kind of go, man, we tried, and, like, has a hard time finishing, in front of the net sometimes, and also just games in general. Fun fact via Jen Hayes, who, due to feedback, I still have muted, apparently there hasn't been an Olympic shootout ever, so maybe one of these games, maybe France Canada will be the game that this makes it happen, but who knows? But I said 50-50 crapshoot. They both have a chance in my opinion, so that's pretty much it. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to say? I'll unmute Jen to... Yes, Jen, I got you. I unmuted you just in case.
Okay, I have a serious rant going on.
But quickly, because we want to wrap the show up. So quick rant. All right. Go ahead.
I have seen a lot of posts on social media and other places saying, "Can we fake an injury for Ali Long so we can get her off the roster and put Sam Mewis in instead? Because we don't want Long on there, we want Mewis instead." Okay, first of all, it's wrong to want even a fake injury to anybody, let alone a real one. That's just, no, you don't do that. I don't care if you don't like a player. Look, I wanted Sam Mewis on the roster over Ali Long just as much as a lot of people did. I was disappointed when it didn't happen, But I accepted the fact that it was Joe Ellis' decision, and I moved on. I accepted it. I dealt with it. It's over. It's done. Nothing we can do. Let's move on. But don't ever wish an injury on real or otherwise on anybody. Number one. Number two, you can't do that. There are mechanisms in place where both FIFA and the IOC and an independent source have to confirm that an injury is legitimate before an athlete can be replaced. So even if they wanted to do that, which is some Cold War era Eastern Bloc Iron Curtain bullshit, you can't do that. There needs to be independent verification for an athlete to be replaced. So just stop it. I don't care if you don't like Ali Long, just stop it. It's cold. It's not fair to her. It's not fair to anybody else on the team. Just stop it. End of rant.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good place to end the show for today. Tune in on Sunday. There may or may not be a guest. I'm not even going to say at this point whether there is or not, because our luck with guests, again, not due to anything on their part, has been not so great. So tune in on Sunday. Show up. Some people will be here. I'll be here. Cara will be here. Other people might be here. DJ probably will be here. Hopefully will be here. Some other people might be here. I don't know. I'm not even going to say, because if there's not, then I didn't lie to you. So come back on Sunday. And before we round up, I didn't ask Jen Carl if she had anything else to say, and apparently she does. So quickly, Jen, go.
I do. Just real quick. If you haven't yet, check out, I think it's on all of our social media websites, the contest we have going on right now.
Yes, thank you.
It's a giveaway for a U.S. Women's National Team scarf. Check it out. All you have to do is like us on social media. That's like us on our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter. I don't know how Tumblr works, but whatever you need to do on Tumblr, stalk us there, whatever, do that. So yeah, and then we will randomly select someone at the end of all of this. I believe we set the date for the end of the Olympics. We will pick someone, and they will get a free scarf. People like free stuff. Go do it. Just click the like button.
Okay, great. And on that note, again, like I said, Sunday, 14th of August, 6:30 p.m. Check us out. Who knows what's going to happen? I sure don't. So we'll see everyone then. And we're waving. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And